Thank you very much, and sorry for not getting my jacket. I didn't want to waste your time by heading back. My name is Erica Layan. I grew up in Thousand Oaks, California. I came out east when I got into MIT and got my economics degree there. Bounced around a little bit in financial industries, and now I'm here in my home in New Hampshire. My mother teaches third grade out in California, and she was a teacher out at Haycox Elementary when Larry King was killed in the school. She also worked at one of the schools next to one of the highest murder rate streets in the country. They had metal detectors, they had high fences. They still had people running from the cops, armed, sometimes shooting on that school property, despite a prison-like environment. Bad guys, they were stopped by the law. They'd be stopped by the law against harming people. So the question becomes, how do we keep our schools safe? And how do we keep parents and emergency contacts also safe? My children are homeschooled. That's why they're sitting in the back. They finished up their work, so now they get to Minecraft. But I'm an emergency contact for several of my neighbors. I'm not carrying today, but normally I do, because ultimately, if it comes down to the point where my primary weapon, my brain, can't protect my family, it's kind of crazy to wait for somebody else if that situation does arise. If one of the children on the street, my street, that I'm an emergency contact for is sick, and I have to go in and get them and take them home, I also have to remember with this law to lock my gun up in my glove compartment and then go in and get them from school. So this is something where helping out with this, I can't be an emergency contact because then I would have the chance of becoming a felon because I'm helping out my neighbors who aren't as fortunate as us to have one parent at home and have two parents working. So this is something that while it may be well-intentioned, there are huge consequences, even for people who, especially for people who aren't normally on school grounds, or whose children normally get on the school bus fine, but might trip and fall and smash their nose and start bleeding. You can't stand on the outside of the bus and say, I'm sorry, Johnny, I can't get on the bus and get you because I'll get arrested because I have a weapon on me. Making it so that it's so cut and dried, when we already have something that's already against federal laws, goes too far. There's too many unintended consequences, and this is not something that's going to actually make things more safe. When you look at it, it does have the issue with the teachers. It has the issue of reducing that surprise element, which is such a safety valve here in New Hampshire, because who'd walk up to me and think that I was a mother carrying? I think people would probably select me as a victim, and that would be a poor choice. And it's that surprise element we want our teachers to keep as well. And we also want to make sure that we are not putting parents at risk or neighbors at risk going in to pick up children. And also with being able to vote, that'd be very good to not have to remember to lock it up before going to vote. Thank you.
Representative Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Thank you for taking my time. I also am a native of California. We in this state used to allow hunting rifles to be carried to school in California. What has changed that we're so afraid of this in New Hampshire?
Our risk calculations in New Hampshire and in the rest of the country are off. We're exposed to all of the really bad, scary headlines, and we don't see all the times when things are actually sane and normal. We're so afraid of when one bad thing might happen because it's terrible. One child being hurt is too many. But if we're so afraid that we overreact and we take away people's freedoms, we take away people's rights, we take away the ability to teach gun safety in schools. If I could, I would volunteer and do Eddie Eagle classes in the schools so that children could be familiar with it, so that if they walk into a home and see a gun, they won't say, what's that? What they'll do is say, there's a gun, we need to tell an adult. We can't teach gun safety in schools if there's no way to have a gun, and honestly, I think that would go the best way to making everybody safe. But it's just a matter of everybody becoming more risk averse because they're used to headlines, they're used to being scared, and our news cycle is all about scaring people, not about informing people.
Thank you for testimony.
Thank you.
Robbins?
Croc TV.